The crimson sands of Kepler 442b stretched endlessly beneath twin suns, their harsh light casting jagged shadows across the alien landscape. Commander Lisa Voss adjusted her tactical visor, studying the heat signatures that flickered across her. Display like dying embers. 3 days. 3 full rotations of this god-forsaken world, and the human was still moving. Impossible, she muttered, her scaled fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The Zephyrian hunting pack had been tracking their quarry since he'd escaped the crash site, and by all calculations, he should have been dead within hours. Her scout, a young male named Crix, approached with his usual swagger, notably absent. His normally vibrant blue skin had faded to a sickly pale hue, and his secondary eyes, those that allowed his species to see thermal patterns, kept darting nervously toward the horizon. "Commander," Crix's voice carried an unfamiliar tremor. "The readings, they don't make sense." Lisa's mandibles clicked in irritation. The Zephyrians were renowned throughout the galaxy as the premier hunters. Their physiology was perfectly adapted for pursuit. Enhanced lung capacity, redundant organs, and the ability to track prey across vast distances without rest. They had never failed to bring down their quarry, until now. "Report," she commanded, though something in Crix's demeanor made her stomach coil with unease. "The human, James Chen, according to our intelligence, he's maintained a pace of 15 kilometers per standard hour for 72 consecutive hours. No rest, no water stops that we can detect, and—" Crix paused, his throat sacs inflating nervously. "And his trajectory has changed." "Changed how?" "He's no longer running away. From us, Commander. For the past 6 hours he's been running parallel to our position. Sometimes it seems like he's circling back." Lisa felt her blood chill. In her 2 decades of hunting, she'd tracked creatures across a dozen worlds. Prey ran. That was the natural order. They fled in panic, made mistakes, exhausted themselves. They didn't strategize. "Impossible," she repeated, but the word felt hollow. "No being can run for 3 days straight without collapse. His species lacks our endurance adaptations. Their cardiovascular system is primitive, inefficient." Crix's 4 eyes fixed on her with an expression she'd never seen before. Fear. "Commander, I don't think he's running anymore." The words hung in the scorched air between them like a curse. Lisa activated her long-range scanners, pushing their detection capabilities to maximum. The display filled with topographical data, wind patterns, and thermal readings. And there, 12 kilometers northeast, a single red dot moved with mechanical precision across the landscape. But something was wrong with the signature. It burned too bright, too consistent. Most fleeing creatures showed erratic thermal patterns, spikes of panic, valleys of exhaustion. This was different. This was controlled. "Pull up the surveillance. Footage from the crash site," Lisa ordered. The hologram shimmered, displaying the aftermath of their attack. The human transport vessel lay twisted and burning, its hull breached in 3 places. They'd expected easy prey. Soft-skinned bipeds with no natural weapons, no enhanced senses, no remarkable physical capabilities. The footage showed James Chen crawling from the wreckage, his left arm hanging useless, blood streaming from a gash across his forehead. He'd looked up at their circling ships with eyes that should have held terror. Instead, Lisa saw something that made her hunting instincts scream in alarm. Calculation. "Enhance Sector 7, she whispered. The image zoomed in on the human's face. James wasn't looking at their ships with the desperate fear of prey. He was counting them, analyzing their flight patterns, planning. "He's not running in terror," Lisa realized, her voice barely audible. "He's positioning himself." As if summoned by her words, their communication array crackled to life. A human voice, steady despite 3 days of pursuit, filled their command. "Enter." "Commander Voss." James's tone was conversational, almost friendly. "I know you're listening." Lisa's hunting pack froze. How did he know her name? How did he access their frequencies? "Your species is impressive," James continued, his breathing remarkably steady for someone who'd been running for 72 hours. The galaxy's apex predators, they say. Unstoppable, relentless. But you hunt like pack animals. Predictable patterns, established hierarchies. Crix's scales began shifting to camouflage colors instinctively, a reflexive response to mortal danger. Humans, James's voice took on an almost educational tone. We're persistence hunters, Commander. We don't run because we're fast. We run because we never stop. Our ancestors chased mammoths across continents, wore them down step by step, hour by hour until they collapsed from exhaustion. Lisa's scanner suddenly screamed with alerts. The thermal signature had vanished. But here's what your intelligence files didn't tell you, James continued, his voice somehow closer now, though that was impossible. We don't just hunt animals. We've been hunting each other for millennia. We know how predators think because we are predators. The realization struck Lisa like a plasma bolt, the parallel running, the circular patterns. He wasn't fleeing, he was herding them, driving them toward some predetermined position where the terrain would favor him over them. The crashed transport, she breathed. He's leading us back to the crash site. Very good, Commander. 3 days ago you had the advantage of numbers, air support, superior technology. But now you're tired. Your pack is spread thin, hunting. Shadows. Your fuel reserves are low and you're exactly where I want you. Through her visor, Lisa saw movement on the ridge overlooking the crash site. A figure stood silhouetted against the alien sunset, James Chen, somehow appearing fresh despite his impossible marathon. In his hands, salvaged from the wreckage, was a human weapon she didn't recognize. The thing about persistence hunting, James said, his voice now carrying an edge that made Lisa's predatory instincts recoil, is that it only ends when the prey stops running. A smile crept into his voice. I stopped running an hour ago.